What's up, guys? It's Chris.
And I am Blue Dream 47. Hello.
Oh, shoot. It was a little laggy there. But, yeah, Blue's going to be helping me out a lot with this video. We're going to be doing a little quick tips and trips thing. Fuck. Blue's going to be helping me out a lot in this video, so we're going to do a little quick tips and tricks video. If you want to check out his stuff, the links to his YouTube and Twitch will be in the description.
Yeah, for sure. I hope these tips help you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So we're going to just jump right into it, and we'll see you guys in the video.
Hey guys, Blue Dream 47 here, and I'm going to be covering the don'ts of Vecna. Now, there's a lot of things that you don't want to be doing as Vecna. Number one, with the Flight of the Damned ability, you don't want to be using it from a range. The Flight of the Damned is actually one of the easiest M2 range attacks to dodge in the game. All survivors have to do is just press control to crouch, so you don't want to be doing that. If you are using the book, the Eerie, you can for sure, but you don't want to be doing it if you're not.
Instead, how you do want to use them is by either spawning them on top of the survivors so they can't avoid them at all, or by using them to zone them from windows and pallets so they can't just vault them for free and you can get a nice and easy M1. You're playing Vecna, not Huntress, so you should play like him.
Don't use it as like a surveillance ability. You know, I've seen a lot of like Vecna players and they'll use it to like check gens and like totems and stuff like that. You don't really want to use it that way. Once again, simply because it's so easy to dodge, it's just not really a good idea. It's kind of a waste of time.
What you do want to do with them is either send them when they're at a higher elevation than you so they can't crouch them or dodge them as easily, or double spawn them on top of somebody who's unhooking so you can get 2 hits at once. This makes the skeletons way more powerful and feel great. So if you guys take some of these tips, the skeletons will feel fantastic in your games.
And that leads on to the biggest don't with the Flight of the Damned. You don't want to overly telegraph it. It's very obvious. He raises his hands and there is an audio cue for survivors when the skeletons are coming. So you don't want to hold it and aim it for too long. You want to get used to the feeling of just spamming it, just like sending it out as quick as you can, so that survivors have less of a warning that it's coming. You know what I mean? On to the sphere, the Dispelling Sphere, the don'ts. The Dispelling Sphere. You don't want to throw it at a survivor when on cooldown. There's a lot of things that you can do with Dispelling Sphere. It isn't just a throwaway ability, so you don't just like spam it because it's the only ability you have, right? It is a decent surveillance ability, so don't just throw it out because it's the only thing you got.
How you do want to use the Dispelling Sphere is by using it at the very start of a chase before you've used any of your cooldowns to disable their magical items, or to use it by scouting the gens and figuring out which magical items that the survivors have. Because anytime you hit a survivor with the sphere, you'll actually see on the HUD exactly which items they have. And if they have something like the Mage Hand one that gives them haste, for example, that is a great one to make sure you disable if you're going to chase that person.
Don't forget that it goes up and down. So if you are aiming it too low to the ground, you might just send it right through the ground. If you aim it too far up, it'll go into the air and it won't cover the area that you want it to. So don't forget that. Send it in a straight line.
And something to do when you're sending it somewhere, whether it's up or down, something really useful is the Vorpal Sword, because this will actually make the survivors broken. So whether you're on a bottom floor or a top floor and you have somebody on the hook, you can just send it right back and make sure they can't heal right away because they'll be broken for 30 seconds, unable to heal.
Don't forget that it does not disable the Eye of Vecna and the Hand of Vecna. Both of these artifacts are the strongest items that survivors can get for going against Vecna, so you really want to keep this in mind. The Dispelling Sphere will cancel out any magical item other than these two. So the don'ts for the Mage Hand. Number one, don't use it from a distance. This is a big problem, and I see a lot of Vecna players doing this, is because if you use it from a distance, the survivor will just get a free rotation and be able to drop the pallet on you again. You want to use it when you're closing in, obviously.
Ways you do want to use it is when you're just closing in on somebody and you can get right up to them and possibly even just pick the pallet up right after they're going to drop it, and then you get the free hit. And then even if they don't drop it, you'll still be able to catch up in time, which is fantastic, especially if you have an add-in like the Boots of Speed.
Don't use it on god fillers except when extremely close. Again, this ties into the distance. If you're using it on a shack pallet when you're on the other side of shack, obviously the survivor is going to rotate around. Or if they just run away, then survivors will still have a god pallet. If the god pallet is down, sometimes it's just a better idea to simply break it.
One thing you can do with the Mage Hand at these situations is to push the survivor back around to it, and especially if you have the Vorpal Sword add-on, you can just completely stop them from vaulting it. Makes it a lot easier because it's a 3-second animation here with Vorpal Sword, but even if you don't, you can fully cancel a survivor's vault and send them back into you, which makes the Mage Hand super strong in these situations.
And last, for the Mage Hand, you don't want to get too close when using it. You want to hold forward and get close to them so that you can get the hit once the pallet is lifted. But if you get too close, obviously, you're going to get stunned, and the survivor is just going to get more distance than otherwise. So, yeah, don't get too close to where you can get stunned, for sure.
And lastly for the Mage Hand is do not forget about the fake. A lot of survivors are catching on to the Mage Hand, so what you can do instead of casting the ability is just press your right mouse button, make it seem like you're going to block the pallet, and then just run straight through it, because a lot of survivors will try to greed this stuff and try to get as much time as they can out of the loop, because you're just going to probably block it anyway in their mind. So definitely something to keep in your mind.
The don'ts of the fly ability. Number 1. Take notes of how survivors play and if they body block windows. If a survivor is camping a window when you use fly, not only can they block you so that you can't go through, they will, while you're on the cooldown of the fly ability, they will simply vault back. And it's actually, you can do this on pallets and windows, but if a survivor is on the other side too, when Vecna comes through, he loses collision and it'll place you behind the survivor, and then they can vault back. So you want to pay attention to how the survivor is playing when you use fly. If a survivor body blocks the window, you don't really want to use fly in this manner again.
Instead, what you can do with the fly is to use it to simply catch up to the survivors in chase, especially if they're using exhaustion perks like the super common Lithe. I think it's at like a 25% pick rate in all builds right now. Or another little trick with the fly is to sit halfway in between the window for just a second and get a feel for what the survivor is going to do. If you can tell they're going to vault back, maybe you just pop back out through where you came in. Or if you think they'll keep running, then you just fly straight through.
With the fly, don't push people towards strong loops. I've seen a lot of Vecna players do this, and they'll just use it to catch up,
And using it to catch up here and there can be okay, but make sure you're zoning the survivors away from the really strong stuff, pushing them to the outside of the map, and not just pushing them into the shack or the portals on the new map, for example. Just keep in mind what's on the map and use your fly to cut them off from it a little bit, and that'll help a lot more getting good value out of it.
And also, just don't use it for no reason. Fly is an extremely strong ability. It gives you a ton of mobility. There's ways that you can use it in chase. Don't just spam it. And I've seen a lot of Vecna players do this. Don't just spam the ability. Always think when you're gonna use fly, for sure.
Yeah, so what you would want to do with the fly is make sure you have good info of where survivor is on a gen without just using the fly willy-nilly, because the mobility is fantastic, but the cooldown is pretty long and punishing. So make sure if you're using the fly, it is when you're in chase with the survivor, or you have guaranteed info of what gen they're on, and you'll be getting a whole lot more value. Something also to keep in mind with the fly is if you are chasing a survivor, if they vault through an elevated window, it is absolutely a guaranteed free hit. You come out of the fly animation before their feet even hit the ground pretty much, and you just get a guaranteed hit. It is fantastic. All right, that'll do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got some good tips and stuff out of that. Blue's got another video coming up soon if you guys want to check that out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to be doing a how not to tilt guide on killer. So if you guys would like to avoid all the rage-inducing moments of DBD, you can go and check that out. I'll be posting that this week.
Sounds awesome. But yeah, either way, catch you guys in the next one, and hope you enjoyed.